And welcome back to episode 12, I think it is, of Property Untangled. I'm here today with Danny Bone, who is a pal of mine, actually, and he's also works for Pattinson's Auctions, or Pattinson, as you always remind me.
Yeah, lose that
There's
S.
no S on the end. That must be a whole thing, that. We always put an S on the end of everything.
Oh, it's everywhere, does it?
So you work for Pattinson Auctions. You have done for how long?
2.5 years, I think.
2 years. And your job is what?
So I basically, the role is business development manager, and basically I work with agents in a patch of the country. And the idea is, so I cover from Hull all the way up to Scotland. Really? And I actually cover Scotland as well. So it's
And Scotland?
Yeah, I cover Scotland as well.
Do you get called up there much? Or
No, everything on Zoom in Scotland,
right.
Thank God. So I don't have to make that commute. I think I might be going up once this year, or maybe next. But
you're actually from Beverley, aren't you? So
yes,
you're from where we are now.
Yeah, originally from Beverley. Grew up here for 30 years, right. 31 years.
Really?
Yeah.
And now you live...
Now I live in for all my sins. I hope Becky
so you've got a huge area to cover.
Yes.
Speaking to all these different agents. But you don't actually live in the patch either, do you? So.
No, which just makes commuting more fun.
Yeah.
But sort of like an hour to my nearest agent. But
so when you go in to come and see us, obviously I know what you do when you come in here. You predominantly deal with Liam in our team. What is it you're exactly tasked to do? What is your role within Pattinson? And what do Pattinson offer that's maybe different to what we offer as an agent? And maybe a high street estate agent would offer?
Yeah, of course. So I guess the role really is to sort of bring new agents to the company and then account manage them to try and get referrals out of them for stock. That can be a whole load of different stock that maybe the agent's struggling with, maybe it's just prime for auction, and just sort of working with the agents to send things to us to try and help sell. We differ from you guys because we have bit more speed and security than you. So obviously we do accept the offer, we exchange contracts, we complete 28 days later. It's not got the 6 months waiting of solicitors. And
so it's not a physical auction?
No, it's an online
auction.
Yeah.
And when the hammer goes down, the online hammer, somebody's the highest bidder on that property, and all the particulars and all the legal docs are signed prior to the property being listed. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So,
which is different to the normal sale process, isn't it?
Yeah. So we basically it's basically reverse of the private treaty. So we get you get like the fixture and fitting forms, the tiles, all that is provided up front to the buyer, so they can see all the information to make sure they're happy with the purchase. And if there's a tenant property as well, they'll see a copy of the AST. So
there's a lot of due diligence done at the outset by Pattinson's team, because I know this because I've got a property myself currently in the auction, so I know the level of paperwork they go to and all the documents have to be signed prior to even listing the property.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's kind of a cleaner way of doing it, isn't it, in a lot of ways?
Yeah, definitely. I think it does sort of sets everything out, and then that's why we can then exchange contracts as quick as we do and complete as quick as we do, because everything has already been sort of predetermined, I guess, in advance, which helps.
How long is it set on the market for? Is it or on the auction, I should say?
It'll just continue to sit on there till either it's sold or withdrawn. So it can, unfortunately, some do sit on for example, the ones with you, the one in Blackpool. 9 months, I think that one took to get that one sold. But
it has sold in the end.
It has sold, yeah, it has gone. Obviously, we don't want them to take 9 months, of course not. But unfortunately, it's just one of them things. It's not, auction isn't, I think some agents see auction as like a magic wand, where if they send it to auction, it's just guaranteed to sell. Yeah. And unfortunately, it isn't like that. But that's my job as well, to manage expectations.
So I'm guessing Pattinson have got a massive database themselves of potential investors, but also the property's going on Rightmove and it's getting all the normal exposure that a listing would get through an estate agent. We're trying to work out all the differences between how Pattinsons are attracting a buyer and how a traditional estate agent's going to do it.
Yeah.
Is it purely investment? Do you get some owner-occupiers that buy through auction?
Oh, I'd say like 95 to 98% is investment, and there's a couple of percent maybe out there that people do to live in. I mean, I know as most agents are now, but we're on every single portal possible. We obviously have our own website and things as well. And Yeah, our database is, I mean, the company's been going 45 years. So it's got the database is massive. And because we work with agents all around the country as well, we obviously their inputs as well. So it's, we do have a huge database. And now we've gone international as well. We, I think it was last August, we opened up in Spain, which has actually taken off. First auction company to ever operate in Spain.
And how's that doing?
Yeah, it's going well. I think they've only had about 2 or 3 sales, but starting from absolute scratch with no one else doing it. It's brand new concept to Spain. And they've got some listings as well, like in the millions. So there's agents have bought into it, vendors have bought into it. So fingers crossed.
So the one in Blackpool that you just alluded to there, the way that came about is we had a client here at Ultralets who had a property in Hull, but she was based in South Africa. And she'd said to me, "Oh, I've got another one out in Blackpool. Can you manage it?" And I said, "Well, I appreciate, obviously, you're in South Africa. You know, it might seem like a small island we're on, but I can't hop in my car and be in Blackpool in 10 minutes to do a viewing." So it didn't suit us to be selling that property. So what we then did was looked at the property and thought, well, we can either ring around the agents in Blackpool, which we don't know any of them, or you guys have got the scope to be obviously national as well. And we passed it on to you then, didn't we? And that's when it was marketed by
Kenricks, I believe.
Right, so you had a partner agent in that area.
Yeah, so that's basically one of the USPs we offer is agents can refer properties to us anywhere in the UK.
Right.
And example like that, we would just place it with an agent local to the property, and both agents still receive a fee and everything. But it's just a way of, because I think with the estate agency, you are limited to your patch or how far you're willing to travel.
Yeah.
Some that I speak to are willing to drive for 2 hours for listings, which makes no sense to me personally, but
then you would nominate an agent in the area where the property is.
Yes.
They would get a commission. The referring agent gets a commission. And obviously Pattinson's make some money.
Yeah, of course. And we always try and pick the agent that are best suited for that property as well.
Right.
So, for example, the one in Blackpool went to, I think, the leading commercial agent in Blackpool. So
because it was
in good
flats,
hands.
was it?
It was, it was 3 flats, I think, if I remember correctly.
That suited them better.
Yeah.
On the website, I noticed it says that you guys sell for free. So no one makes no money. So how do Pattinson make their money, and what do they make, and how does everybody else associated with that take that deal in Blackpool, for example?
Yeah, of course. So we don't charge the seller anything. We just sort of 0%. I guess it's a selling point for agents to use, for us to use, and we charge buyers premium fees, and that's how we basically make our money. Now, different parts of the country charge different things, because we couldn't probably get away in London charging 5%, so we have to reduce the fee slightly there. But as like a national thing, everywhere bar in London is 5% plus VAT. So we're not cheap.
Top end of the fee sort of spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to think so. But that enables us to be able to pay agents sort of what we pay agents, which is sort of like up to 2.5% fees, which if you I'd probably still say the average fee is still 1%. Right. Would you say?
What, on a standard sale?
Yeah.
Probably. That's probably good. In a lot of areas of Hull, I know people compete at fixed fees of 695, 795. I don't know how they make any money at that, but
agreed. So it's a way of everyone coming out a winner, really. Even the buyers, I mean, people say, "Oh, that's a lot of money," but if they factor that into their offers and then offer accordingly.
Yeah, so I always thought this. Obviously, I'm selling with you guys now, so I can talk you through my process. I'm not paying a fee, but you are still taking however much out of the deal, the transaction between me and the buyer. So the only thing it makes is it makes it a little bit less appealing for the buyer, because they've got to have that extra bit of liquid funds, haven't they? Because they pay it when they exchange.
So ideally, in an ideal world, when we accept the offer, they'll pay the fees and the 5% deposit. But there's things we can do that if they don't have that capital, we can sort of add the fees to the loan if they get a mortgage, for example, or something like that. So there's ways around things. It's just we have a team up in Newcastle,
centralised in Newcastle. Is that where Pattinson's originated? Yeah,
that's where I can't remember the first. So it started out as an estate agent. We've got 27, 29 offices, some all scattered around the northeast. And then Keith came up with the idea of the auction. It was actually apparently his brainchild. It's his idea.
What, Keith's the main guy, is he?
Keith's the owner. Right. Yeah, he's the chairman. So it's a family-run business, to be fair, as well, which is, for such a large company to still be family-run is probably quite unique as well. So yeah, it was his idea, and we kind of then opened it up to the whole country, and it's just sort of, it's really taken off. I think it's really well.
So you're obviously working around property investment stuff all day, every day. You're in agents' offices like you are with us fairly regularly, and all the other ones around. Not complaining, but we like seeing you. Bring us some donuts in now and again.
No, don't say that. Other people are going to expect.
Oh no, that's cost you a fortune. You're going to have some donuts everywhere. We'll edit that bit out.
Thanks.
But you must see these property deals coming up, and you must think, actually, maybe that's something I should be getting into. And have you bought any properties? Is that something you would be interested in doing?
Yeah, I mean, I actually did bid on one just off Bricknell Ave, actually, just because the numbers seemed unbelievable, but it ended up going for 30 grand over the reserve, which I was just like, missed out. But I did actually bid, and I would actually buy through auction as well, because I have actually bought investment property, and it was just that, I mean, the communication wasn't there from the solicitor anyway, but it just felt like we've accepted the offer, everything was excited, and then it was like, I've got to wait. I think it did take about 6 months to get it through.
This is the one you bought through the conventional method?
Yeah, through private treaty, yeah. It was actually an off-the-market deal, actually, that I bought. Strangely, my neighbour advised me his friend in New Zealand was looking to sell, and would I be interested? And he knew I was looking for something anyway, and just turned out to.
It's amazing how people end up with properties in this area, and they live all over the world.
Yeah,
but I suppose it is such a hub for, isn't it, for investment? Around.
Yeah, it was originally from Cleethorpes anyway, and then he'd moved away, but he just kept them because they were ticking over nicely and building equity. But yeah, so I did buy one. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to buying through auction if it, again, just like anyone else, if the numbers are correct and it works, then.
And I guess that one on Bricknell Ave area, the numbers stacked up, and if it goes to 30 grand over from Pattinson's and the vendor's perspective.
Happy, yeah, it was super.
They're happy.
Yeah, they're loving life. I mean, the buyer that still bought it, I think, was still happy with the purchase price, but it was something stupid. Like the reserve was, say, 100,000, and it was running out for about 800. I was like, happy days. It was cost me 106, and it went out for 8.
How does it work on the website then? So if, let's say, a property's on there for 100k and there's a few people interested, do you get bids placed throughout does it go on for 10 days? Does it go on for...
So an auction cycle is 28 days.
Right.
So that's a standard cycle, and it's an online bidding platform.
Right.
So let's say me and you were bidding against a property and I bid, you would get notified. As long as you've registered interest, you'd get notified that I'd bid.
Even if I haven't put a bid yet, just because I've said...
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can see my bid.
Right.
And you can outbid me by, depending on the price of the property, but like the minimum's 250 quid.
Right.
So you can outbid me by 250 quid.
Yeah.
So now I'll get notified that you've outbid me.
Yeah.
And I'll probably come
It's
back.
a bit like an eBay.
Yeah, exactly.
eBay for
yeah, comparatively with eBay for houses is probably, because there is like the countdown on there as well.
Right.
So that kind of...
does it get more intense towards the end of it, depending on the property, obviously? It gets more intense towards that end?
Yeah. With eBay, have you bought stuff on eBay?
Not very.
No,
I can't remember buying anything, but...
But you can basically, I think they were called sniper bids.
Right.
So like the last 5 minutes of an eBay, it'll say you could make a bid to try and sniper the other person and get it last minute. We prevent that.
Right.
So we basically, if someone comes, say an auction ends at 1 o'clock and I made an offer at 12:58, the auction would get extended by 10 minutes.
Right.
Give everyone else
I see, right.
a fair chance to...
So the sniper means I'm going in for the kill and
at the last
you've got
minute,
no chance of coming back.
I'm going to make a bid as late as possible so then neither people don't get a chance to outbid me.
Yeah.
So it's sneaky, but...
Yeah. So the 28 days, all the due diligence is done on the day that it gets listed.
Yeah, as early as possible.
Yeah. So the buyer has no reason to question anything at the point at which the hammer goes down. They've already checked everything.
They should have done, yeah. I mean, they should be passing those legal packs to solicitors to verify and check over and make sure they're happy. Some do, some don't.
Right.
But that's the buyer's choice. We advise them to do it.
What's their liability then after the 28 days when the hammer goes down? And they've said, I'll buy it for 100,000. Do they do they have to buy it? They exchange it at that point? What?
Yeah, we exchange contracts that day.
Right.
So as long as if that bid's been accepted, we exchange contracts. It's just like then a normal private treaty exchange of contracts. Everything is.
And what do they pay to secure that? Anything?
Yeah, so the buyers, yes. So they'll pay the auction fees,
Yep.
which is 5% plus that, or £5,000, and then they'll also pay a 5% deposit, which will come off. That'll come off the purchase price on completion. But we take that deposit. Not many other auction companies do this, but again, it's just to try and safeguard the vendors. If something does go wrong in the time between, the vendor gets that 5%.
Right. Okay. Right.
So, for example, for you, there was one on Springbank, just to keep it local.
Yeah.
We agreed a sale at 180, and the buyer pulled out, which the seller wasn't happy about until we sold them. Well, here's £9,000 as a goodwill gesture. We'll just relist it tomorrow. If you want to pursue the buyer for the rest of the money, then feel free. Yeah. But let's see if we can sell it again.
It's not a windfall, is it? For,
No.
Sorry, you've still got your property, but you've got an extra £9,000 difference.
And we sold it a week later for 180 again. So technically they got 180. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a.
So they'll be happy.
Yeah, it's good for it. Is. I mean, it doesn't happen very often. Like, for example, our fall through rate's only 0.6%. So it's not something we like to happen, but if it does happen, we try and compensate everyone we can.
I think from our perspective as an agent, just thinking about how we intend to use Pattinson, and we already do, is that we'll look at properties that come into us and determine whether we think the best route to market for it is to go open market and Rightmove, in which case we'd probably refer to an estate agent partner of ours.
Yeah.
If the right move is to, not the right move, if the correct place to do it is if it's more of a bread and butter investment deal, we'll probably sell it ourselves.
Yeah,
we've got a client for it.
Yeah.
But sometimes, or increasingly at the minute, we're getting things in that are maybe a little bit obscure. There might be blocks of flats with, I don't know, one of the freeholds missing, or, you know, mixed commercial residential unit that just maybe auction is probably the better route for it.
Yeah.
And we've had reasonable success with it, with referring stuff through to Pattinson.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, definitely. You've had a fair few sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got a good number of sales. I always encourage this. Like, I'm not one of these people that'll come in and just say, you have to send everything to us, everything to us. It's a case of, you send it when it's correct. It'll be the best outcome for you, for us, for your seller. As a letting agent as well, you'll want to return.
Yeah, we'll want to try and retain management when we can.
Of course, absolutely. And I completely understand that. And say if agents push the right things, there's more chance of that, because rapport will be good, relationships will be good. They'll trust you that you've put them in the right place.
Exactly, yeah.
So
that's the number one thing, is the client's got to feel like their property's gone down whichever one of those routes is the best for them.
For their person, yeah. 100% agree with you.
But it's trying to sort of educate, for lack of a better word, the vendor who's not really interested in property. They might just have a property that they rely on us to deal with for them, that maybe there is differences between estate agency, you know, selling to an investor, and also selling via auction. So there's quite a bit to go through with them when we do determine where it goes.
Yeah, I've got experience with that as well. I mean, even now I hear vendors saying, my house is too nice for auction.
Really?
Yeah. And even when I was an estate agent, I used to go out and value properties, and I used to get that as well from vendors. Like, why would you recommend auction for my house? And it's like, but I do think that's changing. Yeah, I think people are becoming more open to the idea of it because of the speed and security. And it's just sort of making people aware that, look, it's not doom and gloom. It doesn't mean your house has fallen to bits.
Because that's what it is. It's always on TV when you watch Homes Under the Hammer.
God, Homes Under the Hammer.
I know someone who's been on that. But
oh, do you? Me too. Me too.
Yeah, not proud of it.
Couple, actually.
I'm not proud of it. But when you watch those programs, it always seems to be a derelict property that somebody's adding value to. And it always seems to be somebody making money at the expense of the vendor, doesn't it? In a way.
It does. And I don't think that program ever gives a fair representation, because you never hear them. You hear what they bought it for. You never hear about the fees they've paid.
No.
You never hear about anything else. It's just they've bought it for this, they've sold it for this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
how long has it been empty?
Yeah.
Did it take them 2 years to do that refurb?
Exactly.
What did the refurb cost? They're very vague on that. Well, we went over budget. But
yeah. So I don't like Under the Hammer at all. I think it's a bad. But yeah, people do, and that used to be an opening line for me as well, actually, when I used to go valuations, was if I mentioned auction, it'd be, don't worry, it's not Homes Under the Hammer.
No, really?
Yeah, I used to use that all the time. Because I think people do there is still sort of a stigma about it that is for those types, but we've sold properties for 1-2 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Through auction?
Through auction.
And people will buy that online?
People will buy it online. They'll pay the fees as well, believe that. I think it's, what is it, 100 and, I think it was 2 million was £134,000 fee.
Was it really?
People paid it.
And paid it there and then?
Just paid it.
Scary.
Because it was still a good deal. So yeah, it's granted. I mean, how much money do you have to buy a £2 million house?
Yeah,
So, of course. People will pay
They
the
will
fees.
pay it. So you're, just going back to your situation then, so you've bought your property on the
Yeah.
South Bank, North Lincolnshire,
Yeah.
tenanted already, did you say?
Yeah, it was already tenanted.
Running nice and smooth?
Yeah.
No issues with it?
No
Any
issues.
plans for growing that portfolio or?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping to be in a position where at the end of the year we can look to buy another one. I do want to. I've got a number in my head that I want to get to.
Number of properties?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so I want to get to 10.
Right.
That's my goal.
Is that your retirement number?
That's the plan.
Pattinson, if you're watching, he's not going anywhere, don't worry. Takes a while to get to 10.
I can imagine. Yeah,
It's 9 more to go.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy. But I plan on. A part of me as well wishes, because bought one that was already didn't need any work doing to it. It was turnkey, which kind of it meant I had to put all the money we had into it, and there was no way of getting money out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like I think, and even I'm in the property industry. I've been in it for 10 so years. I still was uncertain to buy something that needed the work and to sort of add value. But I think next time.
Yeah.
Now there's one under the belt.
Yeah, but also you kind of want to get familiar with the processes, don't you? If
Yeah,
you've never done it
that's
before.
it.
You want to buy something, see the rent coming in.
Yeah.
See if there are major maintenance issues. I know every property's different, but
Yeah,
just get get everything in order before
Yeah.
you start going, right, now I'm going to buy one with a bit more risk attached to it because I'm going to have to add value and potentially pull money out or potentially do the work and not be able to pull money out. So
That's
there's a lot of things to
there's
consider.
always that, especially in uncertainty we're in at the moment as well. But I'd still, but I just want to try and do something else, and I can hopefully have more capital for the next and try to roll it. See too many people doing that, so I'm like, I need to get involved in that.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, I really appreciate you coming in, Dan, today and having a chat with us and
You're welcome.
sharing your story and telling us a bit about auction routes because it's something that not many people are that familiar with, and I think it'd be good to explain this new method of auction and get that out there to everybody.
Yeah. Liam's very, very familiar with it. So if any of your vendors are wanting to discuss auction, Liam is the guy.
And any other agents, I guess, as well that potentially want to partner up with an auction company, you guys are interested. Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, any agents out there. I mean, we do. I think in Hull we work with. I think it's something like 17, 18 agents. So it's. I think there's something like 70 agents in Hull at the moment. So it's not. Let's say 25%.
Yeah, it's a good number then.
Yeah, it works well.
But there's more out there to reach. So
Always.
Get in touch with Danny. That's it for today's episode, and appreciate you watching as always.